Good morning, all. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country. My name is Charlie Tyler. It's my privilege to be a part of this congregation and be a part of the team and the staff that offers the kind of support that comes from each other and from the way we offer dignity and value to our own human spirits in this journey that we have in front of us. We have a number of things that we need to bring to our attention today. Before we go any further, let me remind you that Laura Hershkovitz, that you just saw play, will be here Saturday night. The announcement's in your bulletin. Please come and be a part of that. You hear the kind of quality that we're able to bring here for Music on Malphurs, and I know that you will want to be a part of that. So book that out in your own calendar. Other things that are important today, this has been handed to me, that this year we are bringing back our UUCL annual cookie sale. And here's how it works. On December the 15th, Sunday after next, all who would like to participate are asked to bring 1 or 2 dozen cookies or baked good of some sort that you can easily add to a plate of cookies. And on that Sunday, December 15th, you will be greeted at the door by the children who will gratefully accept your cookies. And as they walk by you into the parking lot with your cookies, no, seriously, if your baked good is homemade, it will be helpful if you list the ingredients on the index card and bring that with you. After the service, during the coffee hour, you will have the opportunity to go to the cookie sale, which will be held in the conference room, which is over there, for those of you not sure. And when you get there, you will be given a sturdy plate with a chance to go around the table and select an assortment of cookies and other goodies to fill your plate. Each plate will be $5. Cash or check will be accepted. And remember, the more people that participate, the more of a selection we'll have to choose from. We can all go home with a variety of treats to enjoy over the holiday season. And if it's me, I will bring the Oreos. This announcement comes from the membership committee. Lynn Nordenberg and or Kathleen Kelly. Lynn, would you hold your hand up just, okay, so if you're interested in this, go talk to her. And this is the announcement. This is the last Sunday to sign up for our holiday potluck. It's December 11th at 5:30. Please sign up in the vestibule, bring a favorite holiday dish, and $10 at the door. And we'll continue our eating through December. Transition workshop. Those of you who have been a part of the transition workshop, you will meet immediately after the talk back, which brings me to the next announcement about the talk back. I see a number of guests.
It's not this week. After the talk back next week.
Thank you. After the talk back next week. I did get the transitions out. Yes. Okay, thank you, Ann. And if I've thoroughly confused you, Ann, would you stand up for a moment? If I've thoroughly confused you, she will unconfuse you. So go talk to Ann. Thank you. We also host or have our talkbacks, those of you that are guests and visitors. We meet together shortly after the service back here in the sanctuary. And in a group or in a semicircle, we just talk about the things that have been shared today and talk about the message that has come to us and how it's impacted us, or some questions we may have or ask. And for those of you who are guests and visitors, I'd like to suggest that sitting in on our talkback and listening to the way we are with each other is the best way for you to determine if we really are the kind of congregation that we say we are. Kind and compassionate, caring and giving, hopeful and always walking together with each other. That's a part of who we are, and I'd love for you to be able to see the way we do that together. So if you'd like to stay for talkback, please do. Those of you who are regular participants, you understand how those things work. Are there other announcements that I have missed or messed up that needs to be given today? Thank you. The Path to Belonging will be beginning in January. It's going to start on the first Path to Belonging will start at 12:30 on January the something. Yes, the last 3 Sundays in January. Okay, mark your calendars. Those of you that would like to be a part and learn more about us, you're certainly welcome to. Those of you who've been a part for a while, you may even benefit from sitting in on some of the course lectures. Others?
Visitors?
Thank you. Those of you who are guests and visitors this is what happens to me after Thanksgiving. I'm still carting around more ham than I deserve, so I'm muddling my mind. So on my far right, your far left, and this section over here, are there any first or second time visitors that are willing to stand and give us your name, tell us where you're from? Any? In the middle section, are there any first or second time visitors who are willing to stand, give us your name, and tell us where you're from? And on my far left, your far right, this section here. Yes, sir, if you would, please.
I'm Ryan. I'm not sure. My first time being here. She's been here a few times now. I've been busy with work, so it's good to be here. I'm from Mississippi. I've been living in South Carolina for 3 years now. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Ryan. Glad to have you. Are there others? It is my joy now to introduce and invite the Reverend Dr. Neal Jones to have the opening words. Neal has become a friend of mine over the years that we have been serving together, and I'm always excited to have him here among us, and also to ask you to pay attention to the words that he has to say, because I believe that he offers us those things that are deeply meaningful in our world. Dr. Jones, if you would, please.
Good morning. It is good to be back home. This place does feel like home to so many of us. This place, this community. And sometimes of the year it feels like a cookie factory. Our opening words are from Maya Angelou, who wrote a poem entitled Amazing Peace, and read it for the first time at the lighting of the National Christmas Tree in Washington, D.C. back in 2005. And to our class, which I was privileged to be a part of back when I was a student at Wake Forest University. And it goes like this. It is the glad season. In our joy, we think we hear a whisper. At first it is too soft, then only half heard. We listen carefully as it gathers strength. We hear sweetness. The word is peace. It is loud now. It is louder than the explosion of bombs. We tremble at the sound. We are thrilled by his presence. It is what we have hungered for. Not just the absence of war, but true peace. A harmony of spirit, a comfort, a courtesies. Security for our beloveds and their beloveds. It is Christmas time, a halting of hate time. We, angels and mortals, believers and non-believers, look heavenward and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at our world and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at each other, then into ourselves, and say without shyness or apology or hesitation, peace, my brother. Peace, my sister. Peace, my soul. Now let us stand together and sing together our opening hymn, number 225, O Come, Emmanuel.
No, wait a minute.
Nope, okay.
Sit down. I want to say something about the hymn first.
Okay.
Many of you have grown up in the Christian church and know that the first 4 Sundays in December before Christmas are called Advent. So this hymn that we're about to sing is an Advent hymn. And it used to be that Israel was waiting. This author has recast this hymn, and it has to do with the peace that we hope to have at the end of this period of time. So we're going to sing the first verse of this today, and each Sunday up to Christmas we'll add a verse to it. So next Sunday we'll sing first and second verses of this hymn. So I want to play it for you. I'm not sure if you know this hymn. It's an old tune, very lovely tune. And you go down four verses, you see that as love, we're looking at love to dwell, truth to dwell, light to dwell, and hope to dwell. So all of those things we wish for in this season.
So on behalf of the Sandalwood Food Pantry and the Bluffton Self-Help, thank you for your continued support in providing non-perishable items. We welcome your weekly donations that are placed on the table in the back of the sanctuary. In the work that we do within the walls of this beloved community and beyond, we will now offer the baskets for your contributions. Those of you visiting with us today, please allow the baskets to pass as your presence is our gift. Thank you for your generosity.
Now is the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns. So if you have a joy, may it be celebrated with the rest of us. And if you have a concern, may the support that you receive from our community lessen your burden. If you have a joy or concern, please come forward, state your name, take a stone from the basket, tell us briefly what your joy or concern is, and then place the stone in the cairn. Please, no announcements. Thank you.
I'm Betsy, and I have a concern from the care committee. Tish Hans came down with COVID on September 6th, and she has not gotten well. She'll have a day where she feels a little better, and then the next day she feels horrible. So her doctor thinks this is long COVID, and he says it can last anywhere from weeks to months to years. So she's pretty discouraged. She's been home since then. So just so you know, and if you want to reach out to her, I'm sure she'd like that. Thank you.
I'm Marietta, and I just want to remind everyone that I have a list of drivers who will be happy to drive you to the Music on Memphis concerts, to the holiday dinner, or any other assistance you need. So please call me or text me if you need a ride. My contact information is in the directory. I will place 2 stones in the cairn for the joys and concerns that remain in your heart. And I will place 1 stone for all the children who have been lost to gunfire. May we hold the children and their families and loved ones in our hearts. Now, let us read together the affirmation number 469. 473? 473. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Now, Dr. Jones, if you would, please.
Christmas was a worrisome time for a Baptist boy growing up in a small town in rural North Carolina in the 1960s. The preoccupying question was, would Santa come this year? Now, I was a wholesome, clean-cut lad, but clearly not perfect. Now, it's not that I committed so many naughty acts, but I fantasized about them a lot. So the nagging question was, well, how much is too much? What can I get away with? When does the scale tip from nice to naughty? And my parents exploited this uncertainty to their advantage. I can still hear as clear as day my mother's voice. Keep behaving like that, little mister, and Santa won't bring you any presents this year. What a tragedy it would be to find no presents under the tree because I had miscalculated Santa's mercy. Then I would suffer the humiliation of facing my friends on Christmas morning with nothing more to show than a bag of apples. Am I good enough? That's a question that has haunted me much of my life. And it began back in childhood, thanks largely to Santa. So I had to be circumspect in composing my wish list for Santa. For me, the Christmas season began with the arrival of the Sears catalog. As I thumbed through the pages of the toy section, my desires exploded into an orgy of items for my wish list. But finally, reason would settle in. What was I thinking? I can't ask for all that. If I asked too much, I might appear greedy and tip the scale so that I'd end up on Santa's naughty list. So then I began the painstaking task of paring down my wish list. On my 9th Christmas, I made a life-altering decision. Would I don a cowboy hat or a coonskin cap, with the raccoon tail on the back? In other words, would I be a cowboy or would I be Daniel Boone as portrayed by Fess Parker on the popular TV series? As I watched that series, my decision became crystal clear. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, with an eye like an eagle and as tall as a mountain was he. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man. He was brave, he was fearless, and as tough as a mighty oak tree. From the coonskin cap on top of old Dan to the heel of his rawhide shoe, the ripidest, roaringest, fightingest man the frontier ever knew. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, and he fought for America to make all Americans free. I bet that's never been sung in church. But it was that opening scene during the opening credits when Daniel Boone flung his hatchet and split the tree that convinced me that I wanted to be Daniel Boone when I grew up. Now, being a minister has its daring moments, but it doesn't compare with being Daniel Boone. So, for Christmas that year, I asked for a Daniel Boone musket, for one of those long sticks that you use to tap down the gunpowder. Now, would I ask for a pistol too? No, I don't need two guns. One's enough. Would I ask for a Bowie knife? Well, yeah, I needed a weapon for close range fighting and to skin deer and bear. Yeah. Would I ask for frontier gloves with fringe on the side? No, Daniel didn't always wear gloves. Would I ask for a canteen? Well, Daniel Boone always wore one slung over his shoulder, and growing up in hot, sweaty Smithfield in the summer, it would be nice to have a swig of cold water. Would I ask for caps for my musket? Well, of course. What's the point of having a rifle if it doesn't have sound effects? Would I ask for a stick horse? No. My friends would think I was a girly man if I straddled a stick horse. Real men ride bicycles. So, with my pared-down wish list in hand, I went down to Rose's dime store downtown to sit on Santa's knee and place my order. I threw myself in his mercy that he would deem my request as reasonable and deem me as being good enough. Now, Santa has a long, storied history. His origins begin with a real person named St. Nicholas, a 3rd century bishop in Myra, which is now known as Turkey. He was admired for his piety and his kindness. The legend of his piety and kindness spread throughout Europe as he became the most popular of saints. He was venerated for saving storm-tossed sailors at sea, for defending young children, for giving generous gifts to the poor. His feast day was December 6th, the anniversary of his death, which also became a lucky day to make large purchases and to get married. It also became a day of giving gifts. It's starting to sound familiar now. Now, the Protestant reformers encouraged the veneration of the Christ child as the gift giver on his birthday, December 25th. But over time, St. Nicholas had become attached to December 25th as well. And he was depicted as wearing bishop's robes, riding through the sky on horseback, rewarding good boys and girls who knew their catechism with sweets. And he was accompanied by Black Peter, an elf who punished those who failed the catechism test. Have you noticed that we've always associated anybody or anything that's black as being bad? Well, the St. Nicholas tradition was brought to America by Dutch immigrants to New York. And St. Nick's Dutch name was Santa Claus. In 1822, Clement Moore, an Episcopal priest, wrote a Christmas poem for his 3 daughters entitled An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas. The first line of which reads, "'Twas the night before Christmas." So Clement Moore was responsible for our modern image of Santa Claus. He portrayed him as a portly, jolly elf with a sleigh pulled by flying reindeer. His Santa laughs, winks, and nods, and he enters and leaves homes through the chimney. Now, this image of Santa was further elaborated by Thomas Nast, a political cartoonist for Harper's Weekly. In the 1860s, he depicted a rotund, human-sized Santa with a full white beard and bright red suit trimmed in white fur, carrying a sack of toys for lucky children. And Santa's home was at the North Pole, where elves made toys. Well, it didn't take long for advertisers to co-opt Santa Claus to boost sales. Stores began advertising Christmas shopping in the 1820s. By the 1840s, newspapers were creating separate sections in the paper for holiday advertising featuring images of Santa. In 1841, a Philadelphia store featured the first live Santa. In the 1890s, the Salvation Army dressed unemployed men in Santa costumes to ring bells for donations. In the 1930s, the Coca-Cola Company was looking for ways to boost sales during the winter months, which was a slow time for cold soft drinks. So they incorporated the image of Santa in their holiday campaign. And since then, Christmas has been associated with the Jolly Santa drinking Coca-Cola. Well, I'm sad to report that the church has a history of trying to get rid of Santa. In 1931, Pope Paul VI expunged St. Nicholas from the roster of saints. In 1951, the Catholic Church began a movement to get rid of Santa. In France, the clergy denounced Santa as a pagan and a heretic who was dominating the celebration of Christmas. In Dijon, France, the church held a rally in the square out in front of the cathedral, where hundreds of children had to witness the lynching of Santa, who was hung in effigy and whose beard was set afire. It was an old-fashioned burning at the stake, like Joan of Arc. But the citizens struck back the very next day with a pro-Santa rally. Santa was resurrected, and he appeared on the town hall roof for all the children to see. So apparently mustard is not the only spice of life in Dijon. Now, on the Protestant side of Christianity, the Puritans were appalled by the excesses of Christmas. In 1652, the Puritan English Parliament, under the leadership of Oliver Cromwell, actually outlawed Christmas. Which brings to mind H.L. Mencken's definition of a Puritan. He said a Puritan is a person who has the haunting fear that someone somewhere is having fun. Well, the Puritans who came to America had a subdued Christmas observance. In fact, until the mid-19th century, Congress actually met on Christmas Day. Now, in our day, conservative Christians have continued the Puritan war against Christmas and their so-called culture war. In their paranoia, they believe that there is a secular atheist conspiracy when store clerks wish you happy holidays instead of Merry Christmas. They haven't considered the possibility that maybe businesses are trying to be inclusive of all people who celebrate various holidays in December. They'd like Christmas to be a purely Christian celebration, which is why they have those cute little mottos. Keep Christ in Christmas. Jesus is the reason for the season. I used to have a fundamentalist neighbor who informed me that Santa has all the letters of the word Satan. Well, conservative Christians are right. Jesus is the reason for the season. But so is Hanukkah. So is Kwanzaa. So is the winter solstice. So is Santa Claus. And let's be honest, in our consumeristic culture, the end of the year sales are the main reason for the season. So, why won't Santa go away? I think the main reason is because he is the incarnation of generosity. He's jolly and cheerful. He works all year to provide us with gifts. And he may have a naughty and nice list, but you'd have to be a serial killer to get on his naughty list. I think of Santa as being a secular God image. He accepts everyone unconditionally. and he loves extravagantly. That's why not just children, but even adults are drawn to him. Now, the irony is that American Christianity, in my opinion, hasn't done a very good job of incarnating generosity. The U.S. is the most Christian country in the world. 85% of Americans call themselves Christian. By comparison, only 77% of the people in Israel call themselves Jewish. According to the Organization for Economic Development and Cooperation, the U.S. ranks number 1 in military assistance, but dead last among the developed countries in developmental assistance to poor countries as a percentage of our GNP and in per capita terms. Per capita, we give 15 cents a day. And it's not because we Americans are giving so much to private charities instead. Private funding increases our average daily giving to 21 cents a day. The countries that contribute the most to assist poor countries are those secular, atheistic, socialistic countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands. And it's not because we Americans are too busy taking care of our own. 18% of American children live in poverty, compared to 8% in Sweden. In every category of compassion, the U.S. ranks last among the rich nations. Last in health care coverage. Last in childhood nutrition. Last in infant mortality. Last in access to preschool. Last in literacy. Jesus may have taught and practiced compassion, but his followers apparently have not followed his example very well. I agree with Gandhi. Christianity is a wonderful religion. I wish more Christians would practice it. Maybe we'd be more a compassionate nation if instead of becoming Christians, we became Santa Clausians. The so-called culture war is not between Santa and Jesus. It's between Santa and Gordon Gekko. Remember him? Michael Douglas's character in the movie Wall Street. Gekko was the incarnation of greed. He's the one who said, greed is good. Greed is right. Greed wins. His philosophy is that of Ayn Rand, who turned morality on its head by justifying and extolling greed and selfishness as virtues. And let's face it, greed is the fuel that generates our economy, which would tank if not for consumer spending. 70% of all economic activity in our economy is constituted by consumer spending, which brings to mind the economist John Kenneth Galbraith's words. The modern economy doesn't flourish by satisfying the needs of consumers, but by creating the desires for products consumers don't need at all. And, of course, we know that corporations create and feed these desires through advertising. By the age of 20, the average American has seen over 1 million commercial messages. On average, you and I will spend a full year of our lives watching commercials. And advertising works. Since 1950, Americans have consumed more resources than all the people on the planet who have lived previously. The average American consumes 5 times more than the average Mexican, 10 times more than the average Chinese, 30 times more than the average Indian. And like missionaries, we want to spread our consumerism around the world. But the planet cannot sustain our lifestyle. Well, the question we should be asking this morning in this place of worship is, what is the spiritual cost of our addiction to stuff. I think one clue is we can look to Dante's Inferno. You may remember that there sinners are punished by being forced to live forever with the sin that they fell victim to while on earth. And in the case of the greedy, Dante comes upon them lying face down in a bland dust for all eternity. And they confess to Dante, in life, we would not raise our eyes to the shining spheres, but kept them turned to mundane things. When we become focused on money and the things that money can buy, we lose sight of the shining spheres of what really matters in life. Or, in the words of Jesus, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? The most disturbing spiritual consequence of our consumerism is the example that's being lifted up. Not the common good, but what's good for me. Not the commonwealth, but my private wealth. Not public service, but service to the ego. The spiritual question is, do you have a purpose in life that's bigger than your wants, your needs, your desires? A purpose that's bigger than you. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of acquiring stuff that I don't need or want. This Christmas, do we really need more gloves, more scarves, more scented candles, and a Snuggie? Here's an alternative. We could go to the website whatgoesaround.org. It's like a wedding registry. But instead of telling friends what flatware and tumblers you'd like, you tell them what charities you'd like to support. So when someone wants to give you a gift, they go to the website and they go to your give list. And they make a donation by pointing and clicking. Well, here's another alternative. We could play the generosity game. The generosity game is when you do something good for someone anonymously. Like put change in an expired parking meter for someone. Or when you go into the bakery, buy a treat for the next person who comes in the door. Or when you're standing in the checkout line at the grocery store, pay for an item of the person behind you. And leave a card that says, "This is for you. Now it's your turn. Do something good for someone. Do it anonymously and pass on this card." It's a fun, creative way of spreading random acts of kindness. Of course, you know, don't you, that our minister plays a generosity game with Snickers bars. You know that, don't you? He already does that. So why won't Santa go away? Well, I think it's because the old doctrine of original sin is only a half-truth. Yes, greed and selfishness is a part of our human nature. But so are generosity and kindness. I think Francis Church's letter to the little girl Virginia says it best. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist. And you know that they abound and give your life its highest beauty and joy. How dreary the world would be if there were no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith, no poetry, no romance to make tolerable this existence. The eternal light with which childhood fills the world would be extinguished. No Santa Claus? Thank God he lives and lives forever. 1,000 years from now, he will continue to make glad the hearts of children, and hopefully adults too. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. And now, if you would please take your hymnals into your hands, and as we turn to hymn number 123, may we find that the spirit of Santa Claus is still in our spirit of life and the generosity that comes from him. May we stand together. John and David, thank you for making this a rich and meaningful service, for your gifts and for your talents. The dozens of others who are throughout the building making this a meaningful service in so many ways in which they serve. I want to thank Ryan and his family for daring to come back, and I appreciate you being here today. And so we look forward to spending more time with you and your family. Those of you who have dared to come here as well, too, my thanks. Those of you who are members, you know why you are here, and you know the support, that this is your tribe, and you find that liberal spirit here. Dr. Jones, your final remarks, please.
Our closing words are by Howard Thurman, entitled The Work of Christmas. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the people, and to make music in the heart. Amen.
We will now extinguish the chalice. Please join me in reading the words that are in your order of service. While we extinguish this flame, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again.
try to avoid.
You got another cookie thing that we're going to be.
I was hoping people would start joining in and singing Daniel Boone with me. I forgot it. You told me yesterday. I forgot it.
And I love the song you're going to have.
It was. Adding a verse each song. I like it. I like it.
Started that tradition.
Let's face it, we Unitarians don't have many traditions. We don't. So it's nice to have this. Scoliosis. That's a good coverage.